Attention deficit squirrel, New York. In that tree over there.
Oh, what is that? A warning! Oh no! Oh no! FBI? Who is this FBI? What are they trying to warn us about?
You put your left wing in, you put the left wing out, you put your left wing in, and you spread fear and doubt. You do the Hokey Pelosi like there's marbles in your mouth. That's what it's all about. Hey, come on everybody, sing along! Woo! Yeah! So, Nancy Pelosi thought it a good idea to toss her toys out of the pram on live TV and tear up her copy of the State of the Union address. Now, the last time some broad ripped something in half on live TV, it didn't go well for her either.
We have confidence in the victory of good over evil. Fight the real enemy.
The impeachment hearings are what would happen if J.J. Abrams wrote a political thriller, all set up and no payoff. Since day one of his presidency, 20 minutes after he was inaugurated, to be exact, we have been hearing nothing but
Today was a turning point.
A turning point.
We're at a turning point here.
The beginning of the end.
We have another bombshell. Another bombshell.
I believe this is the beginning of the end. It's really the beginning of the end.
He may be feeling the walls closing in on him.
All the walls closing in on him.
The walls closing in on him.
Breaking news, a new bombshell. One astrologer says this means the beginning of the end for President Donald Trump.
Trump will resign.
Trump is going to resign.
Is this the tipping point? I know we've said it over and over.
You think this is a tipping point?
And over and over.
This tipping point.
It was the beginning of the end today.
The beginning of the end.
Breaking news tonight, new bombshell.
This is the beginning, not the end.
The beginning of the end.
The walls are closing in.
The walls closing in.
The wall's closing in.
So, let's take a look back and see just what exactly the Democrats have actually accomplished in the past 3 years. Once this guy was elected president, these guys didn't like it very much. So they thought maybe they could blame these guys for this guy because allegedly this guy had those guys rig the election. What they did find was spying and collusion by this lady and this guy, but nothing to see here! Then they tried to say he was creating chaos and division. Can you say projection? So they tried charges of collusion again, despite the fact that there's nothing illegal about collusion. But this time, they had the $25 million Mueller report. And once again, that failed again. So they tossed in a porn star for good measure. I mean, one would think a porn star would be a sure thing, if you know what I mean. But that went nowhere. Now remember, this whole thing is so solemn, so somber, so serious. So much so, some praise a second-rate porn star lawyer as a savior of the Democratic Party. Seriously, the mainstream media gushed over this scumbag, even saying he should run for president. But there's nothing to see here. Then they decided to introduce a bill that would, and I quote, require the President of the United States to divest any assets that could raise a conflict of interest, including a statement that failure to divest such assets would constitute high crimes and misdemeanors. This bill is only applicable to conservative presidential candidates and conservative presidential candidates only, and there's definitely nothing to see here. Then they thought obstruction would be a good charge. Obstruction of Congress to be exact, which is exactly what you want a president to do. It's like part of its job, but okay, if that doesn't stick, let's yell quid pro quo. Even though quid pro quos happen all the time, and what Trump did was perfectly legitimate. Oh, but wait, what's this? No quid pro quo? Okay, we'll call it abuse of power, and we'll smile and hush the applause and laughter and give out commemorative gold pens for this festive occasion. But remember, this is so solemn, so somber, so serious. And that's where we're at. Confused? You'll still be after this episode of Attention Deficit Squirrel. And after all of that, after throwing everything that they had at him, the probes, the investigations, the reports, the witnesses, and whistleblowers.
Oh, a bullshit artist.
Not to mention millions of taxpayer dollars. About the only thing they've accomplished is turning Nancy Pelosi into a walking before-meth, aftermath public service announcement. Seriously, look at this broad and the toll the last 3 years have taken on her. I mean, she was no goddess in a clamshell to begin with there, folks, but holy diver! And she comes out after all of that, after a crushing defeat, and she still can't admit it. I mean, listen to the way she was talking back in February.
He's impeached forever, no matter what he says or whatever headlines he wants to carry around. You're impeached forever. You're never getting rid of that scar. And history will always record that you were impeached for undermining the security of our country, jeopardizing the integrity of our elections, and violating the Constitution of the United States.
Shut up. Shut your ugly, old-time, ancient ass up.
Guilty until proven innocent, and even then, he's still guilty.
Guilty! Guilty! My clients plead guilty!
Shut up! And undermining the security of our country, jeopardizing the integrity of our elections, and violating the Constitution of the United States. Can you say more projection? So, let's talk about undermining the security of our country. Like, using an unsecured personal email account and unsecured server to send sensitive and top secret emails? Maybe. Like, protecting illegal aliens by telling them when ICE is planning on making raids? Because it's not like there could possibly be any dangerous people either in the country illegally or trying to get in the country illegally, right? Or it's not like they could be carrying highly infectious, deadly viruses that could cause the unnecessary deaths of hundreds, possibly thousands of people, right?
Right.
It's not like they could be possibly trafficking children, either kidnapped or paid for to be sold into a life of slavery, right?
Right. Right. You bloody well right.
And violating the integrity of our elections? This coming from a party that wants to abolish the Electoral College, have a candidate officially removed from the ballots in certain states, wants to allow for mail-in ballots this upcoming election, a system fraught with fraud, as well as other issues directly related to the United States Postal Service itself.
If you know how to mail a letter, you already know how to mail in your vote. But how long might it take for that vote to actually arrive and be counted? We decided to test it, sending 100 mock ballots simulating 100 voters from locations all across Philadelphia to a P.O. box we set up to represent a local election office. A couple days later, we mailed 100 more, using the same size envelopes and the same class of mail as real ballots here. To approximate the weight, we even folded mock votes into every one. In the following week, we checked our P.O. box for the results.
Mail pickup notice, there's more.
When we went to collect everything, though,
Nothing? No.
most of our votes seemed to be lost.
That's all I have back there right now. That's
You're sure? You're totally sure? I believe you.
All right, then. Have a good day.
Okay, take care.
We had to ask for a manager.
We're trying to do something about mail-in ballots.
And explain ourselves before someone finally found our votes.
They have me somewhere else.
We soon discovered another problem, missorted mail. 21% of our votes hadn't materialized after 4 days. And the batch we'd mailed a week prior, some of those were missing too.
So of our 100 ballots, 97 arrived, which sounds pretty good, unless you consider the fact that that means 3 people who tried to vote by mail in our mock election were in fact disenfranchised by mail.
In a close election, 3% could be pivotal, especially in what's expected to be a record year for mail-in voting.
And a party that had wiretapped and spied on a political rival's campaign. And then try to impeach that political rival because, well, they just don't like him and are still sore about losing an election after running one of the most garbage candidates ever. So basically, the Democrats are like Wile E. fucking Coyote, complete and total fanatics, vigorously redoubling their efforts long after they have forgotten their initial aim. And when all else fails, Pelosi can always fall back on the old favorite, it was Obama that started it. That's why the economy is so good, which is kind of like saying the reason your ex-girlfriend is having such great sex with a new boyfriend is because you started it. Yeah, that's right. It was me who got that G-spot rolling. You know that orgasm was me, baby. Call me. I don't know. Doesn't Pelosi have a city to run? Further into the ground? Or another small business owner to throw under a bus? As Speaker of the House, she has showed zero respect for tradition and for the president, not to mention her own job. And the whole time during that State of the Union, for example, she's looking over at the peanut gallery, hoping that they'll see her, and like it's like they're in high school and they hate the teacher. Seriously, that State of the Union was one step away from spitballs or somebody sticking their hand under their armpit. The left has behaved, like I've said before, like a bunch of petulant children, and have wasted millions of taxpayers' dollars in the process on absolutely fucking nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Good God, you are.
And worse yet, on something they knew was nothing. They are like kids when you play a game and the rules are kind of loosey-goosey. You know what I mean? You're just having fun, but then one of the kids who is smarter than the rest of the other kids figures out a way to exploit the game and starts winning. It's at that point where one of the other kids would say, "New rule!" And then every time you score, every time you go in for the win, they shout, "New rule!" And then they keep new ruling you to death, hoping they can cheat you out of winning without making it too obvious that they are the ones that are actually cheating. Yeah, that other kid is the Democrats. They are going to try to new rule their way to victory this November via cancellation of debates and by using this pandemic to demand mail-in ballots, because basically they're running one of the most garbage candidates, well, I guess by my own admission, the close second most garbage candidate ever to fucking run. A man who has been molesting women, plagiarizing speeches, and lying since the 70s. I mean, this right here pretty much sums up his whole career.
The new questions stem from taped remarks of Biden during an April campaign appearance in New Hampshire.
I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. Went back to law school and, in fact, ended up in the top half of my class. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only needed 123 credits.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
Joe Biden ranked 76th in a class of 85 at the University of Syracuse Law School. I mean, this guy comes off this whole thing as a flyweight.
Now Biden says Newsweek is right. His memory had failed him.
So, this November, be sure to vote, vote, vote!
Then, slow down to vote? Vote.
No matter what the polls say. And put the right wing in, take the left wing out. You put the right wing in and stop the fear and doubt. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and turn yourself about. Grab a bite of pussy, goddammit. Woo! Thanks for watching! Yeah, come on!
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely went through a phase, probably for about a year and a half, where I really thought that, you know, anyone who supported President Trump was at best supporting racism and at worst downright racist themselves. Yeah.
Wow. And where did that come from?
I was watching a lot of MSNBC.
Okay.
What lesson did you learn from impeachment?
That the Democrats are crooked. They've got a lot of crooked things going. That they're vicious. That they shouldn't have brought impeachment. And that my poll numbers are 10 points higher.
Stop it! Yeah.